All right, here's the deal. Both you guys are carpenters. Okay? So, what you want to do, how to move through a job seamlessly without having all the little problems that get in the way, all right? The main way to do that is to be thinking a few steps ahead. So throughout the day, there should be a list of about 50 different things that you're going to have to work on. And now you don't focus on those things, don't zoom in, but just understand, how are you going to trim those stairs out? How are you is everything going to work flush and in plane with everything else? So you have your basic idea of what you're going to do, and then every single day you're just refining that idea. And it's not something you have to do on purpose. It's just kind of the nature of doing custom work. You're constantly refining the idea. So the trick is never to build yourself into a corner unless you're absolutely sure that's what you want. When you're building something, I don't care what you have to do. Get a piece of plywood and make a mock-up of the thing you're going to build. That's how you do custom work. That's how you take it to the next level. You guys are just working together. There's 1,000 pieces of, there's 1,000 different things that are going on all at the same time. The way to work through all of those things is just to focus on the thing that's in front of you. So when you're building these stairs out, cut your stringer out of that sheet of 1/2-inch plywood. So you need a stringer for the top and a stringer for the bottom. Okay? So you do your math on that, and then you mock up that landing right on the 4th step. And that's what the 2x4s and stuff are for. So you just hold a 2x4, raise the frame up where you think it's going to go, stick a screw in it. Don't sink the screw. Never sink your screws when you're doing mock-up or your lags. That's why you use lags. And you always pre-drill. All right? So you're going to take some measurements first, and you're going to try to outline on the wall, just writing on the wall where everything's going to go. Just general measurements. Don't spend a lot of time doing it because it's not going to matter that much. It's impossible for you to figure it all out at once. It's just not possible. So why strain your brain? Don't strain your brain. Keep it simple. So you just want a general idea of where you're going to be. And then you put that landing where you think it's going to go. And then when you're done with that stringer pattern, you put the stringer up, and that's going to tell you exactly where the landing needs to go for a perfect fit. And then all the rest of everything else just works out. If you spend more time in this phase of the project, thinking about what you're doing, but also making sure that you get visible work done. Okay, next thing. Actually, it's the first thing, but I didn't start with that. On your job site, the way to think about your job site is it's going to evolve probably once per day. So in the morning, you're going to have to reset your job site probably. Today, you're going to be working on stair stringers, okay? And cutting those 2x10s. So you have to set the sawhorses up with the lumber on there, 2x10s, 2x12s. And you want, if you got 12-foot material, you want your sawhorses about 7 feet apart or 8 feet apart. And you want it 7 feet apart. That way an 8-foot board can fit on there, right? If you make it 8 feet apart, your 8-foot board isn't going to want to fit between the sawhorses because you're going to use that wood throughout the project. So if you're doing something and it doesn't seem like the setup is right, don't do anything right then. Just work with that. And then the next morning, if you need to change your setup, change your setup. So the way to move through seamlessly is to, and I understand it's like you're thinking about too many things. No, this is just how you do it. You just got to store those things away in your head. This is just how it works. And you got, the second set of sawhorses, if you have access to those, and I know you don't have much room to work up there. I totally get that. You got to be careful. The most important thing is being careful and taking care of the plants and the property and making everything look clean. So always have your garbage cans, okay? The garbage cans really are for wood only. Garbage, as in wrappers and box and stuff like that, that stuff goes in a garbage bag. We do not put garbage bags inside of garbage cans. There's a lot of reasons for this. Just don't do it. That's why I have plenty of garbage cans. Right? You gotta be real careful driving down these streets right here now. They ain't no joke. Okay. And that's just how you keep your job site clean. The idea isn't to spend a lot of time clean up. The idea is just to take care of little things as you go. So you're probably going to be pretty close to the stairs that they already had. Micah's supposed to have some detailed drawings of what that's supposed to look like. I don't think that ever happened. So right, so what we were going to do was make a pattern off of the stringers that you've already got. So if you still have those stringers, clean a piece of them up, like 4 steps, right? Denail that, clean it up so you can use it, and then just make a stringer out of that pattern, out of your plywood. Okay, the bottom set is longer than the top set, but the top set is the one that we've got to use to get to the landing. So what you do is you take that piece of stringer and you cut it as if it's going to be our top stringer. And then you put that stringer in place, and then you mock your landing up to the bottom of where that cut is. Okay, so you take the old stringer, clean it up, and just mark it out and cut it where it needs to be cut. And then you're going to wind up with a 3-step stringer, right? Because that's what they want at the top. So then you put that in place and you put a screw through it somehow. Pretty much always going to pre-drill. That's going to keep all your boards from breaking, and it's going to make it so you can take the board on and off. That's the whole idea here. So if you pre-drill and you run a 4-inch lag, or you run a 4-inch screw, or 2 3-inch screws in there, whenever you're doing this stuff, you got to understand that things are going to move around a little bit. So if your screws are on the left side of your board and you're screwing that in, you're going to push your piece over. So just scoot it over a little bit and run the screws in. We're just mocking it up, right? Okay, so where do you put the top stringer? Good question. So the distance between the top of our new stringer and the top of the stoop is the same distance between step to step on your stringer, right? Yeah, I'm here. I got to go to work now. So what you should probably do then is have Jack or Jax, I can't remember exactly how it's pronounced. Call him Dude for now. He should start right away. We need to get the total rise, right? So you got your 2x4, one end is in the stoop, the other end is out where you think the last step is going to be, where that concrete is, and you measure from there to the bottom of your 2x4, and you have your total rise, right? And then you're just going to lay out a whole 8-foot, take the whole side of the plywood and just lay that stringer out, and then just make it as big as it can be on that plywood. So your whole stringer will be like 7.5 feet long or something from long point to long point, whatever it is, right? During that time, Chris, you will be denailing the best stringer that you have left over and getting that cleaned up. And then you're going to cut that. Y'all will cut that into the pattern that I'm talking about. And you're going to make a mark from the top of the stoop, or from, this is where the math gets tricky. We'll work on that. Just give me a second here. Right. Because what we're going to have to do is you're going to have to lower your stringers down a little bit more than you think. Because you're going to have 2.5 inches of material on top of the stringer. Because you're going to have your stringer, and then you're going to have a sub tread, and then you're going to have your actual tread of your 2 decking boards. So that's 2.5 inches. So you're going to put a level on the stoop. Don't worry about it being level, really. Just put like a 4-foot level out there so it's just hanging off the edge. And then you're going to measure the distance between your pattern, your rise on your pattern, because it's going to be really close to that. It'll be really close. But this is something for you to be doing while he's cutting the plywood. Okay, get that pattern made first, because that gives you something to work with. Then, after we work with the patterns and get the landing and everything set up, so like tomorrow you'll probably start cutting stringers. All we wanted to cut right now is a pattern. All right. Okay, that wall that you built yesterday, at the top of that wall, under the header, there needs to be some 2x12 or 2x10 blocks right there. So what we got to make sure we do is you need to get an estimated length of your floor joists and go ahead and find the best boards you've got and cut those floor joists, the deck joists, because you've got 4 long boards and a bunch of short boards. So get the long boards cut first, and that'll leave you some pieces left over then you can use to cut those into smaller pieces. All right, so you're going to go from the wall that you built all the way out to the edge of the house, and give yourself 6 inches beyond the edge of the house. So just measure from the wall all the way to the edge of the house, because that's where the edge of the deck's going to be, and go 6 inches or a foot, whatever you want. All right, then you're going to whack those boards, set those aside, and make sure you write on the board regimented documentation. You crown every board with a big mark. Boom, boom, all the way across the board. Boom, boom. You really need a crayon. Pencil will work, but it's really hard to see. So you really need a white crayon or something to write on the boards. White crayon. Hold on a second, I'm going to text you real quick.